Yeah, no, All-Star Weekend, interesting. It's interesting to think about Salt Lake City hosting an All-Star game. You kind of think about it, you're like, you know what? Salt Lake City, I'm sure they did a great job hosting the All-Star game, all that. They got fans that really appreciate the game. Domas got asked after the experience on Sunday night whether or not Sacramento would be a good place to host an All-Star game or the whole All-Star weekend. And predictably, he said yes, of course. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would be a pretty good destination for that. What do you think about that? How far off do you think the Golden One Center is from maybe one day hosting this event that it sometimes comes off as frivolous, as we're kind of noting here, but at the same time, it is the center of honoring some of the best players in the league. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, they have the new arena, right? And the new location. The arena's set for an All Star game for sure. From what I always hear, and why the Kings won't get one anytime soon, is the hotel situation. There's just not enough hotels to house all the fans coming in, I suppose, to watch the All Star game. But I mean, I did hear that Fox was staying in a hotel himself, like 40 minutes outside of Salt Lake City. So I mean, like Folsom is only 40 minutes away from downtown Sac. So I mean, if that's happening, like why can't it happen in Sac? I get it's still not like San Francisco or maybe not quite yet what even Salt Lake City is, but I mean, it still has an NBA team regardless, right? I think everyone should get a chance to host it. And I get they don't have like a ton of hotels downtown, but I mean, there's enough hotels around for people to go to for sure. So, I mean, I don't know if that's still the case, but I feel like I still hear a little. It's just kind of weird that the Kings won't
Mhm.
get one just because of hotels. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess one thing I would point out is I've been to Salt Lake City and I've stayed in a hotel in Salt Lake City. I would almost be tempted to say, and I've never had to stay in a hotel in Sacramento, obviously. I think I would almost be tempted to say that Sacramento and its surrounding areas has more accommodations than Salt Lake City. And I just thought about this. I'm just going based off of the fact that I was there about a year ago. And it was not the easiest thing to find a room there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a sorry excuse for that. I just say give it to them because they have the best fan base in the league. I mean, don't they deserve it at this point? Sacramento's put themselves on the map. I just think for that alone, I think it
Yeah,
should be a
and that's
central
very
issue.
fair. Hmm.
And also, it's just like you hear Domas called it the best stadium in the league, and you hear Mike Brown talking about when he first. I was kind of making a joke out of it when he did his introductory press conference. I was like, it was interesting because Mike Brown was like being asked what he likes about Sacramento and all this stuff. And he clearly didn't know anything, but he's just like, yeah, they got great facilities, really great stadium, great practice facilities. That's just like all you could talk about was the facilities. Uh, I'm like, okay, maybe that had something to do with the fact that he wasn't super familiar, didn't know what to comment on, and also there's the reality that the franchise hasn't done super well over the last decade and a half. But also that could mean that the facilities are really good. So for this conversation, I'm gonna go with that latter idea. So I think it's a matter of time. I don't know how far ahead do they decide these? Is it 1 year ahead, or do they decide a couple in a row, or
I,
like do we
I
know where
don't.
next year's is gonna be?
I'm assuming we at least know where next year's All Star game is going to be. I'm not sure. That's a great question. I'm gonna look it up.
I think it's gonna be in Indianapolis. Yeah, they're gonna have it in Indiana.
Well, let me look up 2005. If they have 2005 out, then we'll know.
It's good. They don't know yet, but they're saying it could be returning to LA in 2025. So they're still deciding 2025, but they're. I know you were gonna look that up, but I did it.
I'd see the candidates are the front runners are Phoenix, Boston, and San Francisco, possibly in the mix. Sacramento, Detroit, Milwaukee, Orlando. And this came out a month ago. And it says possibly in the mix. According to the Sacramento Bee, the team in the city placed bids for the 2022 and 2023 All Star game. However, they lost the bids to Cleveland and Salt Lake City, respectively, due to lack of sufficient hotel rooms despite Airbnb and cruise ship room options within downtown. Sacramento Kings are playing the 5th season. Yeah, just okay. So it is still saying due to
Well,
lack
how
of
did Salt Lake
sufficient.
City get it then?
I don't know.
We were,
Well,
Tony and I were just
well,
talking about the
Airbnbs
Marriott.
too.
Well, I mean, Airbnb's kind of on the way down, isn't it? I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
this isn't an economics or a business podcast.
yeah.
But I was going to say, Tony and I were just talking not too long ago about like the Marriott off of Sunrise. Like, we were like, that's a front for something. That's got to be a front for something. But who's staying there? Why don't you get a nice little transit service, little shuttle between the Golden One Center and the Marriott off of Sunrise?
It's like a 15-minute drive, regardless. It's not even far.
It's really not that
Maybe
bad.
20 tops. It's really not that far. And like even Folsom, I'm saying, like if you don't want to stay off of Sunrise and Rancho, like, I don't blame you completely. Like Folsom's 15 minutes up the road, and it's very nice up there. So go stay there. I don't know how many hotels they have, but they're just being dramatic. They just hate Sacramento. I bet that changes next year when the Kings get good, or they are now good. It's like, oh yeah, no, the Kings deserve one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would almost bet that before, like, I guess they haven't decided 2025 yet, and they haven't decided 26. I'm going to make the bold prediction that 2026 it's going to be in Sacramento. No sooner, no later. 2026 All-Star game in Sacramento.
You heard it here first.
There's going to be 2 All-Stars representing the Kings that year.
Let's
Who
hear
they're going to be? LeBron and Bronny.
LeBron. Oh my god! But at the end of the day, the Kings deserve a All-Star game. In 2026, it's going to happen. So
You heard it here first,
you
folks.
heard it here first. Sac Kings talk.